Moin Moin and welcome to Ralfs Foto-Bude. A few weeks ago I presented the Nikon Df. Today I get it back and I get it with a final firmware. So in the next days I take some pictures with the Nikon Df and especially ISO RAWs in low light situation. You may know my picture about the bottles. So you will see this one on my Flickr account up to the highest ISO setting of the camera, 102,400 ISO. Today I want to compare the Df in a short video. Today it's not so long as usual, in a short video with the Nikon D610, because lots of readers said, why should I buy a Df when I can buy a 610 with more features? The question is good, but this one is another camera. It's more retro style, it's for the old lenses, and it's for photographers who love to change the settings manually on the different dials, not with menus, but you can change lots of things at the Df with dials directly. So here we are with the two cameras, the 610 and the Df. To make the comparison a little bit easier, I remove the lens. Oh, as you see, this one is the silver Df. We have it in two colors, or Nikon has it in two colors, in a black color. That's the camera from my first video, and this is the black silver version. I like the black silver version a little bit more because it's more retro style, like the old cameras, which were almost every camera in the former times were black silver, so I like this one a little bit more. So let's remove the lens. This is, by the way, this is the lens which comes with a Df. It's not a real good one. It's a 50mm 1.8 lens. One thing I miss, that's what I said before on the Df video, this is not a ring to change the aperture, it's just a silver ring. So I would love to see an aperture ring on this lens, because this would be a little bit more retro, but it doesn't. So okay, so compare the size of the cameras. Again, if you see the different sizes, there's not a real big difference between both cameras. Also in weight, they're almost similar, so that's not a reason to buy the Df or the 610. They are almost exactly the same. The sensor, the D610 24 megapixel full frame sensor and the Df 16 megapixel full frame sensor. The Df is exactly the same sensor out of the D4. It's not the 610 sensor for sure, because they have different megapixel settings. So this is the sensor of the D4, and the highest ISO setting on the Df is 102,400, and the highest ISO setting on the 610 is, I think it's 28. So let's have a look. Let's see what here we have. It's, you see here, it's it's 6,400, 12,800 and 25,600. That's the highest ISO setting of the D610. So let's have a look to the dials and the buttons. If you look to the Df, you have the manual dials for the exposure compensation. Here you have a manual dial to the ISO setting here. There you have to press this little button, and then you can turn the dial here, and it goes from L1, so 50 ISO, up to what I said, H4, that's about 102,400 ISO. So you have the direct access to the ISO setting. You don't have to go on the menu or press a button, just turn the dial. Exposure correction, and on the other side We have the speed dial where you can change it up to 1/4000th of a second. There's no 8,000ths of a second. Some of my readers ask why they don't have the 1/8000th. I don't know, they don't have. But the 610 also has only up to 1/4000th of a second, so there's no difference between both cameras. If you don't want to change the setting of the speed by the dial, you can turn the dial to a third step to this setting, and then you can set the shutter speed individual by turning the dial on the back or front side, and then you have smaller steps in the setting of the shutter speed. So you don't have to do it with a dial, you can do it with a dial. Next point, here we have a little bit hidden underneath the shutter speed dial. We have the different settings for continuous shooting. We have the single, continuous low, continuous high, quiet, self-timer and mirror up for the macro mode, or other scenes where you don't want to shake the camera, so mirror up. And here's on-off switch, and here we have the program dial. Yes, we only have PASM, we don't have scene modes, we don't have other things, we only have this PASM, and that's it. You see we have a small display on top of the camera. I can light this one up, there's a button and the light goes on, and we have only like 4 informations on this small display on top of the camera. On the front side we have a dial and 2 buttons. You can set the buttons individually. One of the button is this one. So these are the functions on top of the camera. So let's have a look what the 610 has. Here we have the big program dial with PASM, the 2 settings individual, U1 and U2. You see here, U1 and U2, user setting 1 and 2. Then we have the scene mode, flash mode, and the green mode, auto mode for everything does the camera mode. Then we have here the change between the different continuous or single shooting settings. You see, just press the button here and then you can turn. It's a little bit difficult in this direction, but here we go. Here we go with the different settings, single, continuous, low, continuous, high, and so on. That's almost the same like on the DF. Here on the other side we have the big display, the big top display, and on the big top display you have the most important informations from the camera. So it's a little bit more, or not a little bit, it's much more information you get on this display as on the DF. The exposure correction you don't have on a dial, you have to press the button here and then turn the back dial to change the exposure compensation. To lighten up the display, just turn the dial to the small sign here. To change the setting of the exposure mode or metering mode, you have to press the button here. Change the metering mode on the DF. You have a dial here where you can directly access the different metering modes from spot spot, center weighted, and integral, the whole area. So yeah, sorry, that's my fault. Yes, so these are the difference on the top of the camera. Let's have a look on the back side of the camera. There are not so many differences between both camera. You have the buttons on the side of the display. They have a little bit other order on the D610 than on the DF. But it's not a big difference. I mean, it's almost the same. So if you get used to the Nikon mode, you will easily access the little bit changed order of the DF. You have the replay and trash button on the side of the viewfinder, and here we have live view info button. It's a little bit another order on the D610 than on the DF, but you get used to it very fast, and you have the AFL-AEL button on top, and that's it. So yeah, you see it's almost the same. On the D610 you have the front dial here, and you have the back dial here at this point, and at the DF, as I said before, you have the front dial here, not on the grip, and the back dial you have here, so you can set up the aperture and shutter speed also really fast. Just turn the front dial and the back dial, and that's it. Again, on the side, both cameras are the same. We have the switch for autofocus and manual focus, and if you press the button, as I can show you here, and if you press the button, you have the different settings. Oops, you have the different settings. I have to go to autofocus. Sorry, you have to go to autofocus, and then you can make the different settings, but you can make the different settings only if you have a lens on the camera, not without a lens. So let's do it again with the lens. So if you press the button, you see you have the different settings between, on the back side you can change between single autofocus and continuous autofocus. If you're in continuous autofocus, you have the different settings. Go a little bit closer. You have the different settings here, including the 3D mode for moving objects, and in the single mode you also have auto and the different settings of the autofocus fields. So that's absolutely no difference to the D610. You have also the switch on the side, or the lever on the side, and if you put the button in the autofocus mode, just put the info button, and if you put it in the autofocus mode, you can see I can change again the different settings on front for the size, and on the back side for continuous, single and automatic. The automatic mode is only the 610 has the automatic mode, where the camera decides if the camera should work in single or continuous shooting. The DF doesn't have this mode. The CF has only single or continuous, but in the other points they are absolutely equal. You also have the bracketing button here, and you have the bracketing button here, but one button you have more on the D610. That's the button to release the flashlight, the built-in flash. The DF doesn't have a built-in flashlight. The DF has no built-in flash. You have to use an external flash if you want it. As said before, you have the live view on the camera. You can see, press the live view button and you're in the live view mode. But you don't have a video mode, so the DF doesn't have a video mode. You have the live view, no video. Only in the 610 have the video mode. So here you see you have the lever to change between video and photo mode. Just press the live view button and you see it's exactly the same. You have the same live view mode like in the DF, but you have the video mode and you can change between both. That's not possible with the DF. Yeah, so these are the most important difference. One thing I should show you, on the bottom of the camera you have the battery compartment and the SD card slot, and on the D610 you have the battery also on the bottom, but you have on the side of the camera here you have two slots for SD cards. So if you want to shoot in RAW and JPEG, you can use both slots for RAW and JPEG shooting. So you have one picture on this card with the JPEG mode, and on the other one with the RAW mode. That's one thing the DF can do. You can shoot RAW and JPEG, but it's saved on one card and not on two cards. Let's have a short look in the menu. The menu of both cameras are, they are similar, but not similar, they are almost equal. You see now it's in German, but you see this is the menu order of the D610, and exactly the same for you in English is the setting of the menu of the DF, so it's exactly the same. If you see, we can go here up to the shooting menu, so that's exactly the same. Again, this is a four-way button. You can lock the four-way button like this. Same on the D610, you have the four-way button here, and you can lock the four-way button, so you can go through the menus in exactly the same way. Both cameras has no touchscreen, both camera has no turnable screen, both cameras has a fixed screen, so there's no difference. But again, you have on the side, you have a little bit more connectors because you have headphone and microphone that you don't need on the DF because no film, no headphone and no microphone connector. The grip on the DF is a little bit smaller, but still you can hold the DF really good in your hand. In my opinion, the 610 is a little bit better because the grip is a little bit better formed, but I mean, that's not a real big difference, and you can hold the DF also perfectly in one hand and work with one hand, so that's not a big deal between both cameras. The price, I don't know how it is in America. The price between both cameras is, the DF is, I think, much more expensive than the D610. Less megapixel, retro style, more expensive. I think Nikon want to go for a special customer who has old lenses, who like the style, who like the dials on the camera to change the settings, and who likes the D4 sensor with a high ISO setting, and that's the reason why this one is a little bit more expensive. It should be a little bit more exclusive than a D610. Yeah, so these are the most important differences between both cameras. You should go on my Flickr account of Ralfs Foto-Bude, Ralfs Foto-Bude. There you have lots of pictures of the Nikon Df and 610, and in the next days you will see some ISO pictures, because this now is the final camera with the final firmware, so I can make the ISO pictures, either RAW pictures. You know what I take for pictures, you know this from my other cameras. And I will do it in the next day, so come on my Flickr account and you will see what the high ISO quality and the low ISO also of the DF is. I will compare it to the 610, so you can see what is the difference in low ISO. Maybe there is the 610 has a little bit more details, but when it goes up to the high ISO, I think and I promise you that the DF will be better than the 610, because the D4 sensor is known for its very, very good high ISO quality pictures. That's it for today. Come on my video channel and look for some new videos in the next days. I will present the 610 and I will give you some more in-depth informations to the 610. So if you have a 610, it's worth to come back on my channel, because you will get some tips, some information about the 610, about the autofocus possibilities, and some special settings of the D610, like I have done it for the D7100. And again, in the next days I will show you the Nikon D5300. That's the newest mid-class model of Nikon, with a turnable touchscreen and with a turnable screen, GPS and Wi-Fi. So that's also a very interesting camera for the mid-range in the Nikon DSLR segment. Hope you enjoyed my review. Have some fun taking pictures. Come back on my YouTube channel. Look on my Flickr account. Until now I say moin moin.